Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the vault, episode 467. Cash is king, still is, and we're gonna see it play out. And we could go there immediately, but we just always want to say give thanks to the listeners, people that hit the like, people that hit the subscribe. We've been getting a subscriber every day, and it's so awesome to know that, to hear that, and be excited about that. So we're excited about that. So we're gonna move forward. Cash is king. Cash is king, huh? So cash is king right now. We've had a ton of inquiries at the vault. If you want to reach out, it's Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that email is Christian at trustchristian.com. And so, cash is king. Why is cash king? Well, we're going to talk about the market that everybody wants to talk about, which is real estate. We definitely got to put a pin in that crypto conversation. We're going to go there on this episode. So, let's go there. We've been seeing some numbers in the real estate market right now. You all can do your homework. It's literally what is March the 2nd, 2023. So you're seeing what's playing out in the market, and people have called for real estate downturn. They say some markets are being deflated, meaning that they're losing their value, quote unquote. Sure, sure. We're gonna go with that narrative. They said real estate has already went through a recession. They say has already. The street says that, and so you're hearing that the street says that. Oh, well, what do they say? That the real estate's taking a hit. Okay, some markets, you go look at the numbers, you'll see supposedly, rent markets have gone down, home selling has gone down. We have actually, in our opinion, over at the vault, is that we see there already is a buyer's market. Buyer's market, once again, where it seems as though there's excess inventory on the marketplace that is to be sold. And what's interesting is when we see the numbers, when we see the pundits speak, the street, they're literally saying there's still a housing, what do they call it, a depression? Why? Because they say it's not enough houses for the people in America. So they're saying that they're under building right now, which means they need to build more properties. But they also said the prices on the properties that are on the market have fallen. Fair. This is the street talking. Uh, but cash is king. Because right now we're seeing a bunch of sellers, people that actually own the assets. And what are they doing? They're looking to sell the assets. Well, who has the money to buy? Who has the money to buy at 500 basis point difference? If you were buying a property for two and a half, three, you're buying it for 5 to 6 interest rate. So if you have cash, maybe your deposit will be lower. I mean, maybe your payments may be lower because your deposit. You actually have a deposit. Or we're seeing cash buyers come in right now. And what are cash buyers doing? They're buying the properties at what you call a discount. So what we're going to see is, and what we are seeing, is this the transfer of wealth happening once again. Well, oh man, my family, my grandmother, she worked for this property and she has the property free clearing cash, right? And guess what? She wants to sell it. She doesn't want to give it to the grandchildren. She doesn't want to give it to the children. This is not an indictment on any specific, gender or race or anything. We're giving you examples that we've had come through the vault recently. Someone will come through, they got an asset, and if somebody has cash, they're selling. Cash is king right now. It's been king for a long time now. oh man, I don't know if I should believe in money and believe in this, situation. Well, you don't need to believe in it. Just know that cash is buying assets right now. Cash, not credit. Cash. Are you liquid? Are you liquid? So, okay, we've heard this new narrative come along and we were thinking about it the other day, which is this, what do they call it? Crypto stuff. So, we've seen this come across the table. It's not a under the game, security or commodity, as some people call it. Um, we've seen this. It's almost actually having a 10-year run of under the radarness. Maybe it's made people wealthy. Maybe it's made people rich and make them go broke. We've seen it all. But one thing we can say, it hasn't replaced cash. And this is unfortunate for that audience because it's like somebody that's addicted to something. Where sure, we people the general populace may be used to and addicted to cash. But we've always brought up points on the vault where people they still have pennies in circulation, they have nickels in circulation. So sure, if there is a getting rid of of what you call cash in the public, which is once again, ladies and gentlemen, we don't want to believe the hype. This is it. If in your lifetime you're not going to see it transition to complete digital, then why not utilize the paper that's here? Oh, and so sure, the theory behind this, certain type of monetary type equivalent, that's just what it is. It's a monetary equivalent, if they want to call it that, if it's going to be called that. Cash is still king right now. Because if you're in those positions, you're selling assets that you really don't may not want to sell out of because they may be potentially high income gainers. Cash is king maybe to go into those assets if people want to do it. We're not promoting any of those things. This isn't financial advice or legal advice, but we are saying that hey, cash is king. And we see it reigning supreme with people that are selling assets. And if you take okay, so let's just say right now in the marketplace, they're saying that there's been a 6% loss of real estate values in certain major markets. You can just Google it, do your research, you know, uh, what markets, and what's the large percentage of real estate values that have been lost. And so they are talking about those things happening in major markets. Some major markets, when you do look at the list, we don't have the article particularly in front of us. We did have it come across our radar, but the thing about it is that okay, so they lost 6%. So, sure, the more money value it is, the 6% is going to look a little bit bigger. That's fair. Okay. And people are selling with that 6% down. They're still trying to get rid of the asset because the asset's dang near doubled in appreciation when they got it in 2000, after 2008, and 2016. Once again, we see families coming through right now that they they've had the property for years and they're ready to sell with the markets in whatever market they're in. And it's if it was 6% down in the value of it, they really wouldn't care. Why? Because they got in a fire sale. They got in when it was really low. They got these assets with almost a 200% appreciation, a 300% appreciation. Of course, they're ready to sell with a 6% down over their appreciation value. Why wouldn't they care? But see, this is the marketplace. This is where we are in the marketplace where people have had those properties appreciate in the marketplace. And now where are we? They're selling. They're selling even more at a more discounted price because if you can get cash right now and not have to wait, that's what they're trying to do. That's what's going on. That's what we see. So cash is king again. So what are we talking about to our families right now? Hey, a liquid position is the best position to be in cash, holding cash right now. When you look at cash, actually the dollar index has been one of the strongest. It's been such a long time, for a year now. And you see this and you say, okay, where are we in the cycle? The dollar's strong, holding up. Next thing you know, we might see for the first time in a long time the dollar overtake the euro. No one wants to say that. No one wants to hear that. Hasn't taken over the euro in a long time. But we're going to see now, you know, where where the game is. We're actually going to see where the euro dollar is at right now. 106 hasn't been below hasn't been lower equal or a dollar since 2000. Since 2000. And so we're going to see if the market changes, because the dollar's been really strong here against the euro for a while, and we're going to see the market where this dollar is holding strong. If you're a lot of people, a lot of Americans we've come across for years now haven't been really big fans of the euro. I mean, of the dollar. You know, they're trying to do this crypto thing. They're trying to do it, and it just hasn't panned out for them yet. So what is this? 220. We're saying, what is this? 2022 November. Yep, it's back above that dollar. And what are you going to say? What are you going to say when the dollar ends up overtaking a foreign currency again in the grand scheme of things? People say, "Oh man, we don't know if dollars are strong." You can hear where it's giddying up on an old school currency. On an old school currency. Old school currency is the euro. That's what's an old school currency. And the euro's just been losing its value, losing its value. Americans are going to be happy because now they can travel to Europe on a stronger dollar, whereas the euro has been stronger for a long time, and it's fallen off a cliff. It's almost over for the euro. We don't want to say it in that respect, but when we talk about it in respect to the dollar, look what's going on in Europe right now, ladies and gentlemen. Cash is king in Europe. People were buying yachts at fire sales. They were buying yachts, they're buying jets, they're buying private estates. Fire sales in Europe right now. Oh man, I don't know if that's going on. Their money's lost value to the dollar. What do you think Americans are doing? Trying to get that second citizenship. Trying to get a second residence over there in the Swiss Alps. Cash is king. Maybe the world is flush with credit right now. It was flush with credit. But supposedly the central banks are tightening. Supposedly the central banks are taking money out of circulation. So if that's the case, you actually have to have the cash. You can't let it get taken out of circulation. But people will let it get taken out of circulation. So will they feel higher interest rates? Yes. Will inflation be abated? We would like to think. You would like to hope. That's the hope of the higher interest rates. And interest rates right now for credit, per the, what we say, the Federuski, the feds, from what we're looking at, we're looking over a plus 4 to 5+% interest rate on your money. Now, is that good? Eh. Hey, look, ladies and gentlemen, whether y'all want to know it or not, we could actually say we just lived through one of the greatest credit spreads we've seen in almost 50 to 100 years. They talk about it in the 60s and 70s. Oh, excuse us, in the 70s and 80s. Interest rates were 20%. People were buying houses at 20%. Okay, people were just buying houses in 2018, the 20, the whatever years in the past 10 years, they're getting them at 1%, 2%, less than 3%. Four, no more than 4%. Sometimes, depending on your credit score, depending on how much you put down. Oh, we got to get the interest rates down. Where the interest rates at again? Oh, they're at 4%. Oh, they're at 5%. What would he do? 5% interest rates on the credit rate now. Man, some people may say that that's not a good look. Well, it's like, well, how long was the money going to be when you see, whether you know it or not, it wasn't for the end consumer to have low interest rates. It was for Fortune 500 to expand the economy via jobs, and they didn't do. We can't say that all of them did it. They took their business offshore, and they took advantage of low tax zones. They took advantage of interest rates being very low. Clearly, they've taken advantage of interest rates being low for a very long time in corporate America. So when you're borrowing money, that's why they were able to get to a trillion. That's why they were able to get to multi-billion-dollar spreads. And then you see these companies now, oh, I'm a billion-dollar crypto company and I'm going belly under. Exactly, because they're taking money, cash, out of circulation, and that's what they did. Clearly, if you stole a billion what dollars, they stole $1 billion, right? The value of it, right? Some little guy's money got taken. So you gotta have cash. You're holding cash. That's what we're talking about, holding cash. Because if cash wasn't king, how are you not able to buy anything on a fire sale right now if you have cash? You're able to buy things on a fire sale because you have cash. When they say, when it's blood in the streets, as they say, that's the analogy. When it's blood in the streets. Do you think it's blood in the streets right now, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think it's blood in the streets? Oh, it's supposed to be this, it's supposed to be that. Is there cash in the streets right now? There's definitely cash looking for deals right now. Definitely, sellers right now that, well, are they trying to get out right now while they still think it's hot? They've already started losing value. How much more value can they lose? Can they lose 10% in certain markets? Can they lose 20% in certain markets in real estate? Can they lose 20%? Some things aren't an anomaly. Even if you lost 10%, are they complaining about it? They're trying to get it when they're up hundreds of percent. And yes, they're trying to get out right now before it goes down any further than 10 or 15 or 20. They want to get out. This is what we're seeing with the sellers right now. It's not a seller's market. It's actually a buyer's market. If you have cash, you can buy things or walk out the room. People are looking to sell right now for many reasons. Whether you want to say it's fear in the marketplace, well, let's look at it. We don't know. We wouldn't say that the fear index is that high, but for some odd reason, people are sitting here saying, "Oh, oh, the market is this, the market is that," and they may talk about it in a negative sentiment manner, which is, what's the point of talking about it in a negative sentiment manner? You don't see the benefit of the upside of any of the good things that are going on now. The market's pretty moderate right now, and that's pretty much, standard deviations are pretty normal right now. Appreciate Harlem for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate Harlem for tuning in live, listening to replay. And so right now we are seeing that if you have the cash, even if you have the credit, that's great. But if you have the cash, there are a lot of sellers right now in the marketplace, and we've had quite a few sellers come through the vault recently. And once again, properties will be $1 million. Properties will be $300,000. Sometimes they're in New York, sometimes they're in the Carolinas, sometimes they're in Texas, sometimes they're in California. There are many different places across the country. Sometimes they're in Florida. There are many different places where, if you have the cash, there are sellers right now old time sellers too, old school sellers. Older people, they're baby boomers, remember? They're selling assets so they can get liquid like you, so they can have cash. They want to be cash liquid so their money's not tied up in hard real estate that they don't want to have to be a property manager of. So cash is what? King. They want to be liquid. The baby boomers want to be liquid right now. But are you liquid as a millennial? Are you liquid as an Xer? A Y or whatever, Z or everybody? Are you liquid? Are you cash liquid at that? If you want to buy things on credit, have at it. But when you have the cash, you're not thinking about that interest rate that just went to 5%, the 6% interest rate. You're not thinking about a 7% interest rate. You're not thinking about an 8% interest rate. This is where the market is at right now. The market is, if you have cash, you are a king. If you don't have cash, it might be you're looking at different point spreads. People are buying things on Peter's dollar to pay Paul. And so we see actually, just once again, we see a bunch of properties right now all over the country that, older people, baby boomers, we've actually seen quite a few people over 50 come through recently. For sure, they're over 50 and they're selling. And they got four or five in their portfolio, maybe 10 in their portfolio, and they want to be liquid, just like you. They want to be liquid. They rather go into an annuity that pays them $8,000, $10,000 a month so they can live in their retirement. Don't have to worry about that. Even if it's not an annuity, they're looking at, trying to get into something with what the marketplace always tries to call as passive. Oh, I'm a passive investor. Well, that's what you would really be. You really would be hands off, and that's what we see in the marketplace is a lot of older people are wanting to be very hands off right now. So if you have cash and you're looking to buy real estate, feel free to reach out Christian at trustchristian.com. We have a bunch of sellers across the country. Obviously, there's buyers, and there's deals right now that are going across a lot of tables right now. Biggest thing is when we see these properties, though, a lot of these properties are already rehabbed. So they're actually like properties that you're either going to come in as a broker, a mortgage broker, and sell properties with a mortgage on them, or what are you going to do? Because once again, you know, think about it. They just want to sell the property. So you're not trying. They're not trying to do too many deals out here. They're already fixed. A lot of times you do see a lot of people that are doing these Airbnbs across the country, and we're not promoting that company. We're just talking about like the house share type deal project. You're seeing that across the country where people are still seeing that boom. We know that we pretty much think their numbers are going to be strong. Pretty much this year, rock solid. If it's not a 2019 type performance, why wouldn't you see that again? I mean, most people are still traveling. There's a big boom going on right now, whether you all know it or not. If you're not outside, as people say, the young kids say, if you're not outside, whether you know it or not, people are spending money, ladies and gentlemen. Consumer confidence is actually up month over month. So when you go look at consumer confidence right now, sure, it might be on the news. There's going to be some recession, and we would love to say that we could say that there's probably going to be a soft or a no landing, as the street or the internet says. But for the most part, these companies have already priced in, even if they get another 50, which they're probably going to get that here, another 50 point basis hike interest rate. And the reason why you're seeing the Fed give interest rate hikes is because the economy is hot, ladies and gentlemen. What are we talking about here? The economy is hot. That's why they are hiking interest rates. These companies are passing along prices, and the economy is hot. But it's supposedly not hot in real estate. That's what they're saying. It's not hot in real estate. So once again, we don't say that it's not hot. It's actually, in our opinion, we would say it's a buyer's market. There's excess inventory. There's a bunch of inventory on the market. Prices may have fallen, but there's inventory sitting right now that if you got a check, if you got the cash, there are people sitting on three and four houses in the same county they're in the same state that people are doing these sharing projects. And if not, once again, for people that had the dream of, oh, I wanted to, if you're getting what's the difference, mortgage selling, whatever you're doing, it's all real estate. So a lot of people say, oh, real estate is taking a hit. It's actually taking the greatest hit. I'm sure it has, but if you consider a 6% hit or less than 10% hit on the price of a home in a matter of a year or in the past 2 years, if you think that's a big deal when somebody's made hundreds of percent when they rehab the property, think about how many people bought properties, rehabbed them, and of course they 60% plus their money right there off the after ARV, and now they're like, hey, let's go get another LTV with now we can pull out this number. The comps in the area are giving us this number. And they're like, sure, we might have to come off this property with the comps in the area 3%, comps in the area 6%. Oh man, I don't want to come off my property for 6%. But guess what? The buyers have cash. The great investors right now are definitely in cash. We can see it. When you look at the stock market, where's all the money that was just in the stock market? It's left. It went somewhere. It's sitting on the sidelines. And they're buying up private assets. Not only are they buying up private assets, they're buying up public assets. Oh man, real estate, I don't think they're buying real estate. So that means it's excess amounts of properties sitting on the market right now. And so good money is going through the gambit of properties right now, whether they're already rehabbed or not. They have they have a lot of options as a cash investor right now. You have a lot of options. It doesn't matter if it's a business. It doesn't matter if it's if it's real, whatever it is. But think about that. Are you liquid? Do you have money behind you? Can you buy these properties? Do you want to be in a property management business? Because now you're going from a cash position, if you're buying assets, to a cash flow position, and cash flow is cyclical. It's not a straight liquid position. You're sometimes the company might have assets, hard assets, things like that. When we talk about real estate, it's in the equity of the property. It's not just, oh, I'm in the real estate and it's just giving me the whole, I got the whole amount of money that I'm supposed to, that the value of the home right away. That's not the case sometimes. Of course, cash is king. In our lifetime, we might not see cash go anywhere. I know people talk about this digital stuff. Oh, the digital. And look, we're not denying your money's already digital when you see it on the face of a screen. Simple as that. That's digital money, period. You've heard stories of people getting random deposits in their bank account and then they're not trying to give it back. They're withdrawing it and they didn't give it back. Companies accidentally did that. It happens every now and then. That's what digital money looks like. Whereas cash, sure, you might find money every now and then, and that's how life goes. Digital money, though, oh man, we want to think about that mentality. We want to get rid of the current system that's in place. It's flawed. That's what they like to say. It's flawed. We wrote it in the white paper. Okay, they wrote it in the white paper. These are the same things that allow people to get credit, to get digital money. But oh no, no, they don't want to live off the current system of digital money. They want and fiat money. They want to live off this new limited supply come into my ecosystem environment. Nothing wrong with that. They created their own private monetary system. Whatever it is, that's fine. But when you're participating in the public and private monetary system, which involves the Fed Reserve, then we see where we are. That cash is acquiring assets And you would like to think they can get them at fire sale prices right now. If the market is at the lowest that it's going to be, and it might keep going down the drain, because think about it, the market's above where it started this year. So boo hoo, oh no, the market is we think it's going to go down south. When the companies have already adjusted last year doing layoffs in 2022? The consumers they keep reporting, the streets reported that consumer spending has shifted to the essentials, the needs. They're maybe not out buying luxury goods, but whether you want to buy that line or not, we do our research at the vault, and that's not completely true. They have slowed down and started buying more essentials, but the luxury goods items, how can you say that's true when supposedly Bernard Arnault, you can look up his name, Bernard Arnault, who owns the luxury goods company LVMH, a large conglomerate, they are a luxury goods supplier, had record numbers and are producing record numbers. When you look at companies such as Mercedes-Benz, we're not promoting companies once again or anybody. We're having a open, candid conversation. When you look at that company is posting record numbers for car sales right now. They say luxury goods aren't being bought. They are. So you're seeing changes in buying habits. That happens all the time. So yes, you are seeing companies hold strong in the essentials categories. People do need to buy toilet paper. Huh. Okay. So let's go there. Are you one of those people right now that can see the consumer sentiment of the market and see that it's focused more on essentials, not just out here trying to buy luxury goods? That's fine. But there is a segment of the population, the new Uber wealthy, these people popping up on the internet saying that they're internet millionaires every week, putting oil on their body and chest, taking pictures with cars that they rent down in South Florida. They're going on vacations, taking pictures, and telling you that's their life. And they got student loans. Let's throw that in there. Because how can you be cash liquid and you got student loans to your name? See, we're going to talk about those things because that's what makes interest rates go up, whether you know it or not. People don't know about money supply, but they want to talk about, oh, we should go into this digital currency, crypto stuff, but they don't know about monetary supply. So unfortunately, that public school doesn't give people that because it's ever changing and it's made and dictated by a private organization called the Fed. But it should not stop the American public at school reading the documents from those companies. They have letters, they have documents that they release to the public. See, we could talk about the trust over at the vault. See, the Federal Reserve is in trust. How do you know it? Because they produce the minutes, the trust minutes, monthly from the different Federal Reserves. Not only do they do that from the Federal Reserve, the individual banks, because they got more than one, they do it from the central quarterly and yearly. So you want to know how to run your own private family bank? You read over the FMOC. But oh no, no. They don't want to tell you that in the public. The banker didn't tell you that in the public. The lawyer didn't tell you that in the public. The regular guy down the street didn't tell you that in the public. Because he's not in trust. But if your family's in trust, what do? You read the FMOC so you can teach your family about monetary supply. So you don't grow up to envy and be jealous and disdain something that you were born into it. What's wrong with it? It helps people expand the country through credit, let alone through the cash. But right now, credit costs a little bit more. 2 years ago in 2020, cash was at zero. You could have bought, see, people don't want to know about negative interest rates on their money. So we're going to stay at where the interest rates right now, where, oh, you got to pay 2 to 3 to 4 or 5% on the money. Think about it. When you go get a loan for a car, was it at 3 or 4 or 5%? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, was the car at 4 or 5 or 6%? Oh wow! When you walk in to get a car now, you might be spending over 4 or 5, 6+%, depending on your credit score, depending on, what is that? Based off of your credit history, whatever it is. If you're buying it on credit, you're paying 4, 5, 6, 7+%. Oh wow! When people a few years ago were spending what? 2, 3, 4%. They were trying to get houses for that. They were mad if you were trying to charge them 4 points for a house. They were mad if you were trying to charge them over 6 points for a house. What? How could you charge me 6%? The market was at zero. And we're here to tell you that. Oh man, I don't want to know that. That's where it was at. So when they go to 4%, 5%, 6%, how are you mad? It's only right that they get back there. We weren't mad. We're not mad. They were at 0.0 interest rate for years. That was unbearable. That's why they were calling for a stock market crash. That's why all these old guys were calling for stock market crash. Oh man, it's got to be a crash. You can't just keep lending cheap money. You can't keep lending cheap money. Well, now they're not lending cheap money. That's where we are. They're not lending cheap money. They're lending money at a 4 to 5% interest rate. Wow. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. That's what your private family bank could be lending out money at. And we're not giving financial advice, but that's the free interest rate. That's the free flow. That's the risk free interest rate. That's where people right now are saying, hey, this is why, whether y'all know it or not, let's talk high level real quick. When you're sitting there watching the news and you hear these guys talking about bonds, when your guys, and we're not promoting, so when you hear your advisors say, hey, let's jump into the safe, let's give 4% free guaranteed cash. Why? Because the FOMC, the Fed is say, hey, let's give 4% interest rate on the money. First, they weren't giving jack. Years ago, they weren't you. They what were you in bonds for? You were getting trash. Now, oh wow, the advisors might be making some phone calls, huh? Oh, you got to get in bonds real quick. We got to get it in and out. We can get it in and out. We don't know how long the interest rate. We got to take advantage of this interest rate. Yeah, yeah. Okay, we hear it. We hear it. Gotta get in at that free interest rate, right? Maybe it's they. Hey, 4 points is. It seems like supposedly. Well, the consumer. Excuse us. The consumer. It doesn't seem like they've taken a complete hit because they've just shifted their buying habits. Where you do see some of the Uber, not called wealthy, but Uber, new, high net worth makers, people saying they're making over six figures type deal. That's considered above, the average median income of the states and things like that. So when you see people say they're making in six figures, they're to buy these luxury goods, they're getting in these luxury things, and that's a whole different demographic and populace of people buying stuff. People that are making over six figures in their household. So, ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to hearing your feedback. Christian at trustchristian.com. We look forward to you coming over, getting a consultation as we've been given recently to people where they're selling assets. They come on the line and they're actually paying for a consultation so they can sell an asset, not just be in trust. Oh, I want to be in trusteeship. No, they actually want to what? Sell assets. Baby boomers. Young people, do you have cash? These older people are selling assets right now. And guess what? They are sitting on over $500,000 assets. They reach out all the time. Oh, I got a house for $700,000 and I got a house for over $500,000. You know how it goes. And they're in good markets. They're in your Virginias. They're in your New Yorks. They're in your Carolinas. They're in your Floridas. They're in your southern states. They're in your Midwest states. They're in Cali. So whether I know it or not, Cali was going for fire sales. Why not? They had an exodus, one of the highest leave rates of the states, the exit rate where people leave the state in 100 years. Cali used to be the state you go, you never leave. They had the highest leave rate in 2022 than they have in 100 years. You can go look it up, just Google it. This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. The market has shifted. They say, oh, the young millennials don't want to own houses. Well, they're starting to have families. And usually, when you have a family, you want your own space. Because now the millennials, they don't just have a child, they got a pet. They got a pet that might want to run around the yard. They might want to have family over, family get togethers. But they were supposedly not going to buy houses. Yeah, maybe they're not buying them, but they're still renting them. And they actually have on the market, you can do your research, hit the Google button if it's still around when you hear this 20 years from now, and find out. They say it's actually not enough houses built for the market. They need to build more. And they say they code it. Guess what? Here's the new code word for it. So you can get your money off. Get your money off means you can go to a loan and get a bank for it. Go to a bank and get a loan for it. Why? Because they call them what do they call these communities? Uh, what do they call these communities? Uh, affordable housing. There you go. Affordable housing. Now you think about that term, affordable housing. That's not catering to somebody that makes six figures that can go out and buy bigger, get bigger debt loan houses, mortgages. You're talking about an income bracket now that supposedly is catering to affordable housing. And they're saying there's not enough houses built for that demographic of people. Those people might buy houses. Whereas the people, we're going to see. We're going to see. Appreciate you for tuning in live, listen to replay. Christian at trustchristian.com. Look forward to hearing your feedback. Christian at trustchristian.com. Trustee training is already started. We're planning our next workshop for most likely the end of April. Feel free to enroll to get into that trustee training. It's a part of the training. Christian at trustchristian.com. Peace and joy.